And while Bill loads that, I just want to make to say one point for the introduction for the project that per Mass General Law 161A Section 3, the MBTA is exempt from local bylaws. I just wanted to state that since you did say it in your introduction.
The project doesn't start until way on the other side of the Aberoni. I'm not going to pronounce it right, but the Ariona River.
You're entering on one side and you're exiting at the other end. Is that how it works? Or do you back as the train back out?
Nope, they come right back out.
And then they back
So
up.
just to clarify, there's one intersection of the main track and the turnout track. There's not one at either end of the turnout track.
That's correct.
It's illustrated with one at both ends.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, they're saying it's illustrated differently. That need to be checked.
Sure, that was never the intention. The original plans were to end the track stubbed right at Woburn Street. So,
Okay, is there something else you can look into? And
Okay, so it's not illustrated coming back in at Woburn Street. It's only illustrated in the middle of our wetland near the Abertuna River is the one connection.
no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's how the plan is. That's how the plan is shown. It just dead ends at Woburn Street. Obviously, they'll be
Right,
like the.
Billy, it dead ends at Woburn Street, but it also dead ends at, it was proposed at Willow Street.
It has this. Yeah, it has the turnout. That's what we're talking. Having the turnout there.
Okay, that will not be a turnout. That is just going to be a dead-ended track. And I apologize, Billy, if that's.
Oh, okay. So the dead ends there, and then the turnout is somewhere down at the
Right.
down at the station.
Opposite? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll correct that.
I've been a Reading resident for 45 years and a commuter for 40. And a granddaughter of a train conductor. I love trains. And I'm in support of having more trains, faster trains, but not this one. Like, total opposition to this one. This came to us as a conservation issue, and truthfully, it's more than a conservation issue, it's a town issue. They are using our backyards in our neighborhoods. That John Hopkins has already showed a link to the hazards of all the pollution and all the fumes causing serious diseases when we already have people who are disabled. This is something we're very, very serious about, and we need the support of the town.
It's almost as, and one of the concerns they raised, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but the MBTA came back with points of subject that said, one of the concerns is it's going to take trains 10 minutes longer to turn around if they went into the area by the DPW, because the engineers have to walk back and forth on the train twice to get where they want to go. But the pollution and the sound is way more dangerous to us Reading residents than a guy walking 10 additional minutes on the track. And if it increases times for the train engineer to move back and forth, that has minimal impact to us as residents here in the town of Reading. I truly am asking you to make this an issue that the town works on, not just a bunch of residents trying to work on. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sorry, Alistair Sawers, I'm the head of rail modernisation, so I'm actually the planning aspect of the team for commuter rail. I'm responsible for the electrification and the increase of service levels. This is an early action project. It's meant to deliver 30-minute headways, i.e. 2 trains an hour, clock face to, that means same number of minutes past the hour to Reading and all the stations along the line. So that's the reason why we're doing this. We're not just doing this to be annoying or to interrupt you, and we do understand it has an impact. The key point here is when you enter a siding like this, The intent is to turn the train round. So you're, rather than physically pivoting or going around the loop track, the engineer is getting out and moving to the other end of the train. So to do that safely, you have to get off the main line sufficiently so another train can pass. So we're not holding up behavioural trains. They can go through on the other track. So that is the objective of this. So we can run a shuttle back and forth from Reading every hour, but it is effectively every 30 minutes. Because they're coming at speed, it takes a distance to slow down again. That's how you turn a train. You actually walk from one end to the other. About 8 a day that are turned at Reading Station at the moment. Those sit there for approximately half an hour for the 45-minute turn. So in aggregate, the amount of idling is pretty much the same. It's just more frequent short idling versus a long idle currently at Reading Station. So not ideal. This is diesel. I am working on applications, but we all know that takes a very long time to achieve. But
So I don't know if you've run into this before, but under 10.2.2b3, the Conservation Commission can impose conditions to protect its resource area and the interest of the act, and we can any kind of alteration. If this commission feels like there's alteration or doesn't want to take the risk, they can eliminate that section out of this application. So I'm not sure why you want to park at the very end in the most sensitive area. Although I understand when I say sensitive, it might be in air quotes, but still there's less sensitive areas on that run of 4,500 square feet. So, you know, now I'm going to talk to everyone here. So there is some, there's a difference between what the neighborhood wants and what the Conservation Commission wants. And I think, and I hope you all understand that. So we're here to protect the wetlands, and that's our concern. So we really want this out of the wetlands, which would push it probably closer to the train station. And, you know, it might be the opposite for the community here and the residents. There are other spots in town, not so close to where this group of people are, that don't affect either one of us.
Where it's raised up, but there's wetland on both sides. So should there be a diesel spill, it's gonna flow down the ballast right into the wetland.
the same is true of the main line. So it is,
Yeah.
it's a risk, and it's a risk on all our track. Yeah, that's it
Right.
goes through a wetland area. Yeah.
But the main line is traveling along and getting out of there quickly. This one is gonna be sitting there for 15 minutes. So there's higher possibilities of oil leakage while it's sitting there. So,
Both are extremely unlikely, but
yeah,
of course, there's a
Right.
chance, and unfortunately, the most likely chance is an accident, and that's more likely on the main line, but yeah.
In the applicant's paperwork, they included a law department opinion on the applicability of local bylaws. And my reading of that, I'm summarizing, is that local bylaws, they're exempt from local bylaws where those bylaws would affect or interfere with the agency's ability to provide its basic function. I think I've got that part more or less understood. There's already a service being provided. The addition of a track would in some ways improve that, but not building a track there wouldn't be preventing that service from being carried out.
It would prevent 30-minute service. So it would prevent, there is a policy objective, it's come from the governor, etc., that has been implemented by the MBTA to expand the service to Reading, within Route 128. So it's an urban rail policy objective that came through visioning documents that have been circulated to the NPO and all the other sort of planning processes, has come up with this objective. So that's where it comes from. And this would not be possible to Reading. It may be possible to Wakefield, but it would no longer be possible to Reading if we didn't put this turn track here. So that's what would be changed.
Right, but we wouldn't be not building a track wouldn't result in an obstruction of service. It wouldn't even result in a deterioration of service. It wouldn't change service.
It would go against the policy set somewhere else, yes. So it would frustrate an objective of the agency, but I mean, that's what would be the result.
I'm still a little unclear as to how a no action alternative that doesn't change an existing condition, which is providing a benefit, would fall under an exemption like this.
The idea of increasing throughput of mostly empty trains to Boston by adding almost a mile of track so more empty trains can idle from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m., belching diesel fumes in a densely populated residential neighborhood through a Zone 2 wellhead protection zone adjacent to a bird sanctuary and right through conservation wetlands that state and federal governments each funded $2 million each to build a new scenic park is absolutely asinine.
Has a study been performed on the substantial increase of gate closings at Woburn Street, of potentially 60 to 80 closings? Has there been any study on the increase of gate closings?
No, it has not.
We typically,
No. So it is an operational issue.
Can you speak up, please?
I'm just saying it's an operational issue. So frequency is an operational issue. It isn't entirely predictable, but that is not, we are a railroad. That is unfortunately what happens.
I guess to that I would just say that it's going to increase, obviously, the crossings throughout the whole, increased traffic, especially with police and fire. In any event, it's going to increase. So I think that the MBTA should have done some sort of a study.
So we typically work with police and fire and safety if there are any issues with delays caused to response times, and there are various mitigation measures, but this is not part of the plan. Sorry.
The next.
This is not part of the plan.
If the island, the 30 minutes of idling, obviously you're hearing concerns about sounds and fumes and things coming from that. What can be done to mitigate that?
Not a hell of a lot.
One, we want to acknowledge that our outreach has come up short, right? We can do a better job of talking to the people and the residents of this town. And one step is A, being here, and two, recognizing that and having a public meeting later this month. There's some things that we can work on. A, explaining what the project is a lot better. I don't think we've done a really good job of kind of explaining the mitigation efforts that we want to undertake, some of the things that we want to do in terms of providing better service. What exists there today is a conversation that we also need to have. So the idling that exists today compared to the idling that we're proposing overall is the same amount, if not less. It's just that the frequency of the trains is actually increasing. So that's something that we want to point out and get across. We're not doing a good job. And Alistair's fancy voice from England, it's one thing. I'm a kid from East Boston, grew up next to Logan Airport, so I know what it's like to grow up next to something that gives off fumes. We have the highest asthma rates in the country growing up in East Boston, so I understand the concerns.
Am I here for your children today? So we will engage with folks better. I think we'll come back on the 25th to Reading and engage with folks better with better answers. But we also don't want that to be the end of the conversation as well. We also want to continue having the conversation until folks feel comfortable 100% having a conversation, being more candid and upfront with what we're doing and what we intend on doing.
I don't think the answers have been amazing.
And I don't want it to be the end of the conversation. I want us to be a lot more candid and open and upfront with people of this town because there's a lot of misinformation out there, and we haven't been the most accessible in terms of providing that information. So I take that back and making the general manager very much aware of that directly. I thank the Rail Modernization Office for being here and my project engineer for being here as well. But I'll take back these comments to the general manager. We're meeting with him to flag these comments that people are providing here tonight. I just want to thank you for your time at least, and thank you to the town manager again and the select board for having me and giving me a platform to do so. Just wanted to acknowledge that right now. I'm sorry for taking up any time.
Sorry, I thought you were going to address my question on mitigation.
Mitigation, sorry. I don't have the engineering aspects of the mitigation. I know we're taking a look at the location. I don't know if there's. We are also looking at addressing directly those alternative locations that folks were proposing. I think directly, but I don't have any answers on the mitigation front. And we have better answers at the public meeting later this month as well.
So the first one was about locomotive idling. Currently, we are turning 8 trains in the station, and we were proposing turning 14 trains in the station. Your current frequency is 45 minutes, and your proposed frequency is 30 minutes. The total turn time, this is based on models. I've been told it's proposed to be at 420 minutes, and the current is at 150. I didn't do the math myself, so I'm relying on other people, and I can't give details on how we got those numbers.
Under the proposed operation where we move it over into the bird sanctuary, we're talking about almost tripling the idle time. That's huge from a pollution perspective.
Thank you. For those of you who don't know me, I'm David Clark. I'm the chief of police here in Reading. And what I'm going to talk about right now is I'm sorry for those of you who take the train. I'm not concerned about 30-minute trains. I'm not concerned about hour trains. I'm also not concerned about other things. I'm worried about all of Reading. And my concern is for every single resident in Reading, the businesses in Reading, the people that shop, the businesses in Reading, your friends, your family, your friends, people that come through. And our concern is the significant impact this is going to have on public safety's response to emergency calls. Something is yet to be addressed, something none of you have reached out to myself or the fire chief to even remotely see how this is going to impact. You also haven't spoken to Wakefield or Melrose. I know that because I called the Wakefield police chief and I called the Melrose police chief. They had no idea this was going on until we told them. None. You talked about working with partnerships with the other police agencies. That has yet to happen. I've yet to receive a phone call, an email, anything from the T to ask us the impacts it's going to have on us serving this community. It is going to disrupt response times. And a job where seconds matter. Delays are going to cause seconds and minutes. It's going to affect our ability to get to an emergency from the police side and the fire side. That is my only concern here. And that's why I'm here tonight to talk about this. And the fact that you've not even done a traffic study, not even reached out, have not done your due diligence. I don't care what you said, you haven't. You don't know how it's going to impact because you haven't talked to us. You haven't asked us. You haven't even asked the fire department what engines are on what side of the track, what rescues are on what side of the track. You haven't asked any of that. You haven't asked how we set up sectors. Nothing. You haven't talked to Wakefield or Melrose. And that is a serious concern of ours. How's it going to impact? We don't know. Because you're not even talking about doing a traffic study. Hasn't even remotely been brought up. Okay? I can tell you this. Last year, 26 times the traffic gates were stuck down. 26 times. And before Keolis tells you it's because of extreme weather, it wasn't. I ran the numbers. It wasn't during extreme weather events or extreme highs or colds in temperature. 26 times we had police officers not patrolling the streets, out there directing traffic at multiple railroad crossings because of the infrastructure is not working. And now you're going to increase the amount of train crossings? I can also tell you, run the numbers. 78 times there's a delay in the police response due to the tracks being down and our ability to respond. That's without these extra closings. Your math doesn't add up on the slides. The extra closing is going to have a significant negative impact on our ability to service this town. And honestly, as chief, I'm beyond mind-boggling that you haven't even talked to us and talking about doing a traffic study. And I'm not even talking the increase in traffic that's going to come through with extra gate crossings and people getting delayed. With increased traffic comes increased accidents. Increased accidents means more calls for us. It means delaying our response times. And until that's addressed, I'm sorry, this project is haphazard. And it's unacceptable that you haven't even remotely considered talking to us about this. That's unexcusable, to be honest with you. Thank you.